What's up, y'all? Welcome to another review by Ryan, and a very happy Wednesday to all of you. It is Wednesday, March 1st, and I hope you all are doing well wherever you're at in the world. At the time you find this reaction, we are officially 2 months done into the new year. We're on to the third month. Again, hope you all, particularly those in the United States, that we've had some really unusually warm weather, have been enjoying this fake winter we've been having. And I do want to thank anyone who did wish me a happy birthday, as yesterday was my birthday. So again, I'm continuing to get caught up on everything, and as always, I appreciate your patience. I'm caught up, but it's just work has really been rampant this week, and I just haven't been able to stay on top of the reactions this week, so thanks for your patience. But in this reaction video, I'll be reacting to episode 8 of Spectre Season 2. The title of today's episode is And So the Ruler Disappeared. So last episode we did wrap up what we now know was a two-part short story arc, 2-episode short story arc that revolved around Zentas, an individual who basically imprinted vengeance on a doll, which basically more or less followed the story of Pinocchio. We got to see the Bakeneko and Tai, who were the two leads for that story, as they were kind of trying, as she was trying to kind of unwind all these supernatural things going on, along with the fish dying in her town and everything else that transpired in the immediate aftermath of the death of Zenta. Again, for those who may have forgotten, Zenta, again, was the individual who he lost his grandson, that lost his life due to tourists that were college kids. And so he basically imprinted vengeance both against the kids who didn't really get a lot of consequence due to their actions, and against the villagers for basically allowing visitors to be able to come in and kind of mess up an environment that he enjoyed prior to them opening up the town to foreigners, and not to foreigners, visitors, anyone who wasn't from that area. And so we did have an interesting story that ended up being pretty much a bullshitter, because at the end of it all, you know, the inanimate object that had the imprinted vengeance on it, that, you know, ended up turning into just a doll that was, you know, shooting lightning at people, it ended up not actually having the strength and you could say, the passion of vengeance necessary to actually imprint death on someone, which was proven after Kyokou and them took care of it, and they went to scrape off the names. They warned Tai and that she would probably feel a certain layer of pain while they were scraping off the names, but we didn't realize that there was no pain at all to feel, and that was because the vengeance that was left behind, that was imprinted on the doll, wasn't actually of strength enough to really do much else. It was able to kill things like fish and obviously cause relative inconveniences, but as far as actually killing off the people that it was tied to, it just wasn't able to do that. So I did find the last 2 episodes relatively interesting. Again, I wasn't as connected to this last mini story arc as I was to the Yukiona arc, but I thought it was done relatively well. I loved the Spirit Cat. I love Tai. I think that they are great additions. I thought it was a very interesting investigation into what was going on there. And at the end, because I almost fell for the trap of Kyokou when she always starts talking about her lies, because as you know, Spectre is really good at bullshitting everything, because she's a master manipulator, so for better or worse. And so we did see that on display again in the last episode, but at least it wasn't as intentionally driven as it's been before. And I think that it was handled relatively well for a mini story arc. So there's really not much more to say on that. If you do want to go back and if you were confused, I honestly recommend it's probably best to just rewatch the last 2 episodes again. But I think that it was relatively straightforward with the plot line. You know, not really here nor there. It's not really anything overly sophisticated that we need to go into there. And I thought it was nice. It fits in with the narrative that has been this episodic story by story season that we've gotten from the 2nd season of Spectre. So that does bring me to one very important thing that I want to mention about the series as a whole, and how I feel about this season in conjunction to the 1st season. I've talked about this quite a bit, that I feel that this season feels more in line with the way they wanted to present the story to us than the first season did. And so that comment actually goes hand in hand with one of the writers at Anime News Network. Now, I typically tend to avoid Anime News Network reviews because typically they tend to be relatively biased, bloating shows that don't really need to be bloated, and dogging shows that actually deserve a better score. However, this is one of those few moments that I actually can agree with most of the review that was written up for this segment of Spectre. And I actually want to share, I think it's one or two sentences from that review because it fully reflects how I feel about this show as a whole. And I'm going to put it up on the screen here. The reviewer goes on to say, "I'm more surprised to see the second season become considerably friendlier, with shorter arcs and more likable supporting characters. Spectre might even prove to be an anime better digested backwards, with season 1 following season 2. That reversal feels on brand too." And I wholeheartedly agree with that. I think that if the Steel Lady arc had been presented as a full season kind of do or die situation, especially with Rika's importance to the story also, after this first season had been presented, I think that the community would have received the first season so much better being a second season, and you would not have seen it be having 6 and 5 ratings like it had. Again, looking at the score right now, the average score is above a 7.5 out of 10 for the second season, which is it's a nice improvement. The first season was like a 6.8, 6.9. This is a 7.5, 7.6, and it has been trending higher each week. So I do believe it would have continued to trend much higher. It probably would have been in 8 territory had they just chose to do Yukiona arc as the entirety of this season. But it's fine. It's over. I get it. It's not happening. But I do think that the score would have been even higher if they had stuck to that. But regardless, the community is more or less saying that it is a good 7 and 8 average show. It's improved notably enough on mistakes it made with presenting a story in the first season that the community has been relatively consistent with watching it, and most people that I talk to do think relatively favorable. It's still not in mastery territory. It would have been had they kept the Yukiona arc. See, I'm just going to keep having reasons to bring Yukiona arc up. But I think they have proven that they can write a complicated and strange story like this in a way that the audience would be able to receive positively. So that's what I got for you here. And again, I did like the whole Bakineko and Tai story. I think it was handled relatively well, not perfect, but well enough. It proved its point. And now I'm just interested to get back to Kodako and Kudo and pretty much seeing where we go, and if now Rika's going to have a very important point to play, a very important place to play in the remainder of this season. So that's all I got for you guys. We'll go ahead. I'll get the video reaction pulled up. It'll be a split second for you guys. And when I come back, we'll get this reaction started. All right, guys, I am back. We're going to go ahead and get this 8th episode reaction started to Inspector Season 2. Again, the title is "And So the Ruler Disappeared." So let's go ahead and get this started in 3, 2, 1. I'm assuming we're going to move on to our next arc now. Oh no. Oh yes. Yes, next one. Ah, very large businessman. So Goichi's going to be our headliner for this. Of course, an arranged marriage. Hmm. Oh, damn. What? What? Bruh, so we gonna deal with the killer now. We dealing with a killer directly. Wait! That means something must have happened with Sumi. Alright, see? That's where we're headed off to now. Alright, now I might be a little more intrigued here. I ain't gonna lie. Interesting start. Interesting start. So we have Guichi. He's the runner of this company that he had to take over, and the person he married, he ended up killing, who was the head. And if she had lived a year longer, the company would have collapsed. See, I tell you, certain things about this show just be wild, just absolutely wild, and always surrounding death in some way, shape, or form. But then again, that makes sense since we're dealing with spirits and yokai and stuff. That it's always going to involve some form of death. I want to see my girl Yuki on that again. Bring her back. I demand it. Hmm. Okay, what the hell is going on here? Oh, come on. But can we get back to the fact of why you. Yoko, a fox monster. But why? He's not joking. That man's dead serious. Yeah. So he knows everything that there is to know about her. A child of science. You know too much. And I mean, that does happen, but why did you. So you killed her off to stop the expansion? So you're just a murderer. um. To have her removed, but you killed her though. Like, I get it though. So you went crazy. And I mean, I get it. Mentally, you had a reason to want to go this route, of course. And so the Yoko presented himself. And every time we talk to things that are strangers, it never ends well. Okay, so that wasn't even his initial goal, though, was to slay her. He just wanted to get her out of the picture in whatever way necessary, but it just ended up coming down to that. Oh. So he wants to take over the neighboring land and has contracted the yokai of his Ayakashi to kill his wife off, bruh. See, and that's what happened when you be making promises with the devil, man. Yeah, and that would technically go against what they should be doing. So everyone fulfilled what they wanted to fulfill. Uh, Bruh, this man still has someone murdered, but hey, I get it. So what do you want from her at the end of this? Uh, so your time is ticking anyway. It was. So you want to admit it to him? Hey, lies are your specialty. But this is a wild conversation as we're talking about this man who set up an arranged murder of his wife with a freaking Ayakashi. Like, I swear. This is a wild start. Like, troublesome as hell. Like, yo! That man going to work. He ain't worried about you. Uh, okay, so she did talk with him already. Who the hell are you talking to, bruh? Bruh. And you best not go after him. Take it easy. Right. Right, so she won't be committing murder of her own. She just wants to be able to help so that it can prove what his story is. Right. Right, but now it doesn't mean anything at all. Exactly. Which is why he wouldn't have came to her if that was the case. Y'all need to give up on that damn thing. Yeah. Oh. If anything, it'll put that person as the culprit. Mm. Bro, he asking a lot. You can't even ask for any level of real reimbursement for this because he died anyway. Right. Right until he dies. Bro, you need to give up. It sounds like too much effort. I told you that man going to work. Bruh. Like, can we not do that here? Damn! Woo! Yo! Don't go on her like that. Damn. There you go. Yo, just slobbered all over my man's face. Yeah, 'cause at least it shouldn't result in you having to die, Annie. I mean, that's really what it comes back to for me, too, even with any rumors that may be sitting about you, but I guess we'll figure that out later. I like how it's just like, yeah, I murdered your mother and my wife, and we're just gonna have this Russian roulette about who gets my inheritance. Exactly. Oh, wow. He bought the granddaughter. A very interesting pool here. Like, what an interesting premise. I will admit this is gonna be tight. Also, I do like these type of mystery investigatory type settings here, especially with the old man that's on his deathbed anyway. This is gonna be interesting. I'm really not too sure though why he would come to her unless he's managed to get a yokai or some other entity to reveal what her deeper connection to the supernatural is. Because I don't think that he knows that she's like literally their goddess of wisdom or anything like that. But there's enough rumor about her and her abilities in resolving cases that's out there now that he's put full trust in her that even someone that might have just heard her from another client would not normally put in without knowing something deeper. So I guess we'll find out as time goes on. All right, guys. So a couple of his thoughts, and I already talked a little about what I think about why he's gone to her and he's putting all his faith and trust in her. This is going to be a very interesting next 2 to 3 episodes, and basically here again we have another kind of textbook situation. You have just a bad parent that was more focused on their company's success and the financial growth of what was left behind to them, and not so much about the children that they had. And you could say that this was all the previous predecessor's fault, because the man who founded and ran this company, he put together Goichi and his daughter Sumi, who ended up taking over the company, because he had the brains and great ideas, and his daughter obviously was going to be next in line, and obviously knew how to run a company, and was just a great candidate for the job. So unfortunately, she just got too focused on that. There was no love between the relationship between these two, even during and after having the kids, which we can only assume that there was not really a lot of love that was given throughout their raising. These kids had their own futures they wanted to do. One wanted to be a chef, one wanted to be with the company, and one wanted to go off on another business venture, and she just couldn't accept it. She kind of dictated everything about their life, and so this is a pretty textbook issue. You're going to have a vendetta and you're going to have anger, but 9 out of 10 chances it normally doesn't lead to murder. And so again, kids, please know, if you're watching this for some reason, murder's never the answer. Don't murder people. It's really bad. No matter what the situation is, unless you're getting into abuse and stuff. And again, we need to keep this focused on anime. I understand there have been plenty of high profile murders that have happened, and it's come to find out that the person did some real vile stuff to them, and sometimes what has to be done has to be done. But in a case of this nature, this is pretty textbook. You can't murder people. So he understands that, though. And again, the fact is now he's 81 years old on his deathbed. He has tumors all over his body. He's probably stage 4, and he has less than a year to live, and it's going to start a gradual deterioration in 6 months. So I understand that it's a guilty conscience that's hanging on him. He understands that by contracting contracting an Ayakashi, which of course Kyokou easily was able to find and capture and talk to, who's going to get punished later. Even though he himself did not bloody his hands specifically, he does have blood on his hands, hypothetically, because he is the one who led to the murder of his wife and the wife of his children. And yes, it did lead to better lives, but it's still something that he's had to live with forever. And so now, because he has involved himself with the supernatural, and he has plenty of his own reason to believe that Kyokou has a direct link to the supernatural, he has now summoned her here to be able to basically do his dying wish, and that is to reveal to his kids who the murderer actually is. Now, of course, his selection for who's going to inherit the money from his inheritance when he passes is interesting. As you noticed, only one of the 3 kids is actually present. The granddaughter of his kid that was the chef is present on the chef's behalf, because he would not miss work for anything, even for something like this. And remember, all his kids are going to think this is completely nonsensical, because his alibi holds up that he was not present anywhere in any way, shape, or form near his wife at the time that she was murdered. And then, of course, we have the other guy who he is, the other one who is the husband of his daughter, because he's a lot more logical and has the ability to be able to put things into reason a lot better than his daughter would. And so he's chosen to bring him in as another candidate also. So we have a lot of interesting things to unpack here. Again, this is a very rough processing of what we were given. I think this is going to be a very intriguing mini arc again, as all the other arcs have been. I do think I'm going to be a little more bought in with this arc than I was the Bakineko arc, and the Tai arc. But I still think that this is going to take us down a continued path of what's been great writing this season, presenting all of these mini arcs. So I probably will rewatch this episode again just to kind of unravel a few more things that I might be confused on or are missing, but interested to know what you guys felt about this. And again, please let me know how you guys have felt about the presentation of this second season as a whole compared to the first season. So I'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. If you did like the reaction, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. And if you want to be one of the first to be notified when a new reaction becomes available, hit the bell icon. So I will see all of you guys in the next week for the episode 9 reaction to the second season of Spectre. And until that time, catch you later.